Welcome to the Caribbean Insight Magazine, your number one contemporary online publication in the Caribbean. Dive into the veiled corners of our region from the voices of the diaspora when you read our magazine. Find a place to shop all things Caribbean at our newly launched e-commerce store. Join the conversation at our latest webinar series. For more information, visit mycaribbeaninsight.com today or give us a call at 723-8102.
Pleasant good day, everyone. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Sunday evening. Welcome to Health and Wellness in the Caribbean webinar. This is part 4 in the 4-part series where we discuss various areas within the health and wellness of Caribbean, mostly young people we try to focus on, but everyone in general. I am your host this evening, Jamal Joseph, and I'd like to welcome the panelists as well. Before I do so, I'd like to tell you this webinar was brought to you courtesy Caribbean Insight online magazine, and it's your online resource to maintain that cultural connection throughout the Caribbean. Be sure to visit caribbeaninsight.com. We have today Daniel Francis, Lucky Pinder, and Fadwa Abdul Ghafoor. I love to say that, it rolls off the tongue. That's becoming my catchphrase. What I'd like to do is introduce Daniel, allow him to introduce himself by explaining and exploring his background. Because as we speak today about lifestyle, we're going to, explore not only the lifestyle along the lines in general, but we explore some of the negative sides like a sedentary lifestyle and how it impacts the health and wellness of us in the Caribbean. So Daniel, please introduce yourself and take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Daniel Martin Francis. I am the author of 2 books, The Millennial Mind and The Millennial Experience. My background is heavily steeped in personal development, and you guessed it, it's specifically aimed towards millennials, so anyone around the age of 23 to 40. I would say that, I found my path in life. I actually wanted to be a doctor, but I found myself being lost, and that lost feeling and anxiety led me towards personal development programs, which helped me so much that it kind of tailored, what I do today. So with the coaching, writing of the books, everything dealing with time management, goal setting, just achieving the success that you want in the future, that's more or less where I'm at. And of course, with the books, that led to new loves and new avenues, which means I also am able to coach authors to self-publish successfully as I did myself. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to interacting with everyone. And I hope that what we say here today can help you to become better.
That's a wonderful introduction, Mr. Francis. Thank you very much. I did not know you wanted to be a doctor. That's excellent, because I personally believe that healing persons come from different angles. So maybe you did become a doctor, but we'll get into that. We'll move on next to Lucky Pinder. Lucky, a lifestyle coach. Please feel free to introduce yourself to the public.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure. I am Lucky Pinder, and I am the co-founder of Wayford Community Women, and it is a fitness group. We support not only women, but we specify, especially with women who may have had issues in losing weight, especially because of hormonal imbalance, such as the ovaries and things like that. So we really keep our women close in terms of coaching them. So that is one of the things where Fit Community does. We have online coaching and classes. I'm also the founder of Impact Nutrition, and that is a nutritional based company. And with that company, we others nutritionally, we make nutrition fun and being healthy fun. And we also support persons with their goals, especially as we'll talk much today in terms of weight loss. I'm also a co-founder of the Shikan movement, and the Shikan movement is a group that we really empower women and around Trinidad and Tobago, and also aiming towards the region and towards the world. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Excellent. That's with all those skill sets. Wow, you'd be able to have this entire conversation on your own because you cover a lot of ground. I'm sure you cover some of Fadwa, you cover some of Daniel, and you cover extra. So that's excellent. And I want to add before we start, I believe that empowering women is empowering everybody. We know the role the woman has in the household and in society. So I believe by extension, you empower everyone. So thank you very much for that. And I'd like to roll into another one of our powerful women, Fadwa Abdul Ghafoor. Please, you need no introduction really, but go ahead and talk to the people.
Thank you, Jamal. Hi, everyone. Good evening and welcome back to the fourth and final installment. I know we have been taking this, it has been a long haul and it has been an awesome long haul. It is really great to be back here today with these awesome panelists. I'm really excited to start the conversation rolling. If you all did not see me before, my name is Fadwa Alia Abdul Ghafoor. I'm a registered dietitian and a holistic health practitioner with an interest in yoga, recipe development, and meditation. I believe that in order to treat the person, you have to treat the whole person. So it's not just about diet, it's about lifestyle, it's about mental health, physical health, emotional well-being. So I'm really happy that the trainer thought will be the way it will be today. And I can't wait to dive into the conversation. Thank you again, Jamal.
Well, of course. And I'm excited as well, because this panel, I always remark at how skillful and how crafty a lot of the panelists are. And it really does make me feel privileged to be able to have conversations with you all. I learn a lot and I intend to learn a lot today, so I would like to probably start by going into how do we look at the Caribbean lifestyle? Do we consider it a healthy type of lifestyle in comparison to other lifestyles, say European, say North American, or do we think that we could do a lot more to improve the way we go about living our lives to be healthy, because health is wealth?
From observing our Caribbean people and our nationals, we have moved away from a lot of our traditional way of living and eating and planting and these kind of things, and we have adopted a now modern approach to doing everything. So everything is fast, everything is anxiety filled, and everything is okay. We want to follow what North America is doing or probably what Europe is doing. So we lost a lot of our trininess in terms of our lifestyle. So when we adopted other cultures' lifestyle, we kind of changed the way we would eat, we changed the way we would rest, we changed the way that we would have gone to work and come back home and have certain rules. Now everything is quick and fast, so it has affected our lifestyle. It has affected our health, and it has even rolled down to our young people, because now they are adopting the lifestyle, that fast-paced lifestyle. I need to get it. I team no sleep. We can't sleep because we have this to do and we have to achieve this and we have to achieve that. So team no sleep is 100% the goal right now, and team overachievement. So we forget all about the other dimensions of wellness, and we only focusing on financial wellness and social wellness, and everything else, gets swept to the side.
Wow. And that is absolutely true. And you know, it makes it immediately what comes to mind is what Daniel told me in terms of what he practices in terms of balancing the lifestyle and time management. You know, we're talking about sleep. So, you know, a lot of people don't correlate time management to sleep and the time you spend sleeping. And then when you consider balance, Daniel, tell us a little more in terms of when we look at lifestyle and a lot of the changes to our cultural lifestyle that Padua just referred to,
Yeah.
how time management and all these things come into play.
So funny because I was now going to jump in with this exact similar topic.
So,
You know,
so
the thing is, because I focus so heavily on a particular generation, I'm also forced to see the generations above and below, right? So, I mean, we are heavily influenced by the generations above us because they shape the life we live right now, right? We're entering into something they set up for themselves, but in part for us. So, you know, Pado was talking about the work till you drop. That is this thinking that is just throughout, even outside of the Caribbean, but especially here, we just think that our jobs are our lives, our businesses are our lives. And we kind of put everything else in the background, right? And understandably so, money has to pay for everything. All these things that you want to do, the money has to pay for it. But we lose the balance. And the balance is the important part because you're not just your finances, you're not just your career. There's all these different sides of you. There's your mental health, there's your education, there's your family, there's your health, there's your spirituality, right? I heard this speech, I can't remember who it was specifically, but he talked about life is about juggling these 5 balls, right? And one of the balls are rubber and the other 4 are glass. The one that's rubber is your job. If you drop that ball, it always bounces back, right? You know, you lose a job, you can find another one. The other 4, however, if you drop them, they crack forever. And those other ones are your family, your health, your relationships, your spirituality. And whenever I'm in these types of places, I think of that speech because we don't see the detriment that when we focus on one part of our lives, how it affects everything else. And we don't see the damage it does, right? You have the job, you're working crazy, but what are you doing it for? Is it not for your family, the same family that you're not seeing? You're working so hard that you're not eating healthy enough because I mean, you know, every day we see more and more fast food places coming up and everything again, as Father was saying, is fast paced. We just want to get it done. We just want to go. Our bodies are deteriorating. And guess what? When we get sick and we can't work, it affects our working life anyway. So we get caught up in the train, forgetting that you're not seeing the full perspective. And really, time management is just something that helps you to now manage all these different avenues. But it's all for naught if you don't know what is your priority. This is a big conversation I think people need to have, especially as 2022 is coming up. What are your main priorities? Because you can't focus on everything, but you need to understand what's important so that when you get super busy, you can now say, well, I only have so and so much time. What are the things that I should be focusing on right now? Right? But then also noting that there is an ebb and flow to everything. So that balance is so important, and we all have to kind of strike that balance with all the different parts of our lives.
That is an excellent contribution because you really touch on a lot of points that I think really spark off the conversation and highlight major areas. And, you know, I really like I never heard that saying before, juggling the 5 balls. It's something that I could really use, you know, as we push on, whether in this conversation or in the future while having this conversation, because I tend to have these conversations on a daily basis, right? And what I would say is that I think it's very important for the average person to become aware, which is something that you alluded to, the awareness factor, right? A lot of people go about their daily lives and there is not that awareness on how much priority load they actually place on the job or the working factors, which imbalances the rest. Because I guess if you want to look at it from an overarching perspective of balance, you just said it. You said that you would do damage to yourself and then you wouldn't be able to work anyway. And Lucky and I were discussing that previously. Lucky, so could you just touch on the points there with regards to how people lose that balance in trying to maintain a life and sometimes a lifestyle that is more predicated on pleasing or creating an illusion for others?
Yes, so I'm tapping off of what Padua would have said, where we really follow this Western lifestyle and as they say, when America sneezes, Trinidad catches the cold. So we literally follow everything. What is the in thing, popular, what is trending, and it may sound very simple, but we take it to all different extents. And because of that, we're basically following and get carried away with these things. We follow the trends, we follow, in terms of jobs, the eating, certain fast food outlets will come, Fancy might be selling something next door, but that fast food outlet comes, so you have to be there. It's the end thing. You have to take pictures by this fast food outlet. You have to, patronize it. How you look. You want to look a particular way because that's how these popular persons, these actors, these actresses, these singers, that's how they look. And for me, I have a lot of clients who will go to the extreme to get a look. And it really comes back to what Daniel was saying. What's your why in terms of your priorities? So I always ask persons, well, why? Why do you want this? And I even ask myself sometimes, and kind of like, do you really want this because you want this, or you want this because of something external? And I just said, you have to have that self-awareness and be able to be truthful to yourself. And I think a lot of us are not. We want to look a particular way for whatever reason. I have a lot of clients want to look because, once you say something that's very superficial, then you already know where that leads. And then they go extreme to those things. They go extreme. So all of a sudden, because next month is X, Y, and Z, and you have to be at that event, you have to fit into something, and that's it. They will run on the treadmill for 24 days straight. And forget about everything else. They won't eat, they won't sleep, they will just do that. And likewise with all other aspects, they go extreme with things, and it really isn't healthy. And what you do affects everything. As short term as you may want it to seem, it would affect overall.
Yeah, that's true. And I swear, as Lucky spoke, the only word I didn't hear her say it is the C word, carnival. I swear. Because, I know a lot of people, their exercise regime for their whole life is centered around getting ready for carnival. Do what you want whole year. And when you see all October, November, they want to go around the savannah, right? So this is something that I really think people don't look at. And it's so prevalent in the society. I would say that I don't want to call a percentage, right? But there's a high number of people that we know have these practices. And I know for myself, I would have reduced my alcohol intake when I started to understand what alcohol does in the body. And I know Lucky has some of that similar experience. And I spoke to Lucky about that in terms of having alcohol at a heavy intake during Carnival. And, a lot of people in the blazing sun, they want to get fit, they want to get fit, they want to get healthy. But what you're doing, you're dehydrating your body. So I think maybe you should look at your alcohol intake during major events. What do you think, Fadwa?
Well, I don't really partake in the alcohol, but really and truly, when you look at the effects on the body from a health perspective, it's actually a whole lot of empty calories we put in our body to make us feel a short-term type of niceness. And after that, you'd have to deal with the after effects of upset stomach, vomiting, you can't function and work next day, putting on doctors. I've seen a few of them, I've seen a few. And then, as you say, is the dehydration and the other effects that it would have specifically on the liver. Now you go in and give your liver all this extra work to do, and the liver is a vital organ to help get rid of the excess toxins, excess hormones floating around. But we're not understanding that we are damaging our bodies for a short-term type of pleasure. Not understanding that long-term, like when you reach my age and going up, going further, the long-term effects, they are real. If it doesn't catch up to you in your younger days, it will catch up to you as you get older. It will affect your bones, it's affecting your cartilage. You're wondering, well, okay, my knees could tell, well, today rain going and fall. But why is this? We overdid it in our younger days, and now it's catching up to us. So the most important thing is to have our young people understand the importance of taking care of the body now. When you're young and you're fit and you're able, but don't be extreme. Everything is about balance, as Daniel says, and everything is about time management.
Yeah.
It is the key. Time management and balance is the key to everything.
Well, I absolutely agree. And the question I always ask is, how do we get persons to embrace this and understand it? And I will direct this to Daniel because I was asking him earlier in terms of getting our populace to really come along to certain ideas. When you look at managing a routine, whether it be an exercise routine, whether it be a yoga and breathing routine, whatever routine you look at as a healthy practice, how do you really engage persons and get them to embrace these ideas and propagate it, because we know how important it is?
Yeah, I mean, even before I touch on that, I mean, the fact that, when you talk about personal development globally, in the Caribbean, it's like very foreign to persons, but you go to places like France and America, they're like, they jump on that, they're paying for coaches because they understand what they're getting. But when you look at the schooling systems, you see that from a young age, they show them aspects of time management, goal setting, proper habits, all these things are ingrained in the schooling. So, I mean, for me, first things first is we need to start bringing some aspects of that into schools so that they can normalize kids knowing, how to set their own routines, what good habits can do to their work life and their fun life with their friends, just making it so that it's not something that they learn when they become an adult, because now they have to figure it out from experiencing it, which is not the best way to learn about this type of stuff, right? And I guess when it comes to adults, it's so tricky because everybody comes from a different place. As I was telling Jamal, before we came here, I just find that people always come to me when it's either their life is in complete peril and it's falling apart, or in the other rare part, they are very productive and they want to take it up a notch, which to me, it just seems so unfortunate that you need your life to be falling apart to then say, well, I need help. Wow. I need to figure this out. Because the number one issue that most everyone comes to me before they touch on anything, even before they ask about like purpose, and it's time management. They don't know how to manage their time. They don't know how to prioritize their time. They don't know what's the most important thing that they should be focusing now. And it just shows me that, and this is actually kind of focusing on the aspects of what Lucky was saying about people exercising, but we touch on the carnivals like, oh, we only doing it towards carnival, right? We have this mindset where people aren't really looking long term. They're not deciding, why am I doing these things today, next week, next month? What is it all for? I once had a client, we were doing goals, and she told me she had a goal of doing 100 squats a day. And she said, oh, it fell off after a couple of days. And I said, well, what was the point of the goal? Like, what were you trying to get out of it? And she said, well, I want to get fit. But her problem, which is most people's problem, is that they don't decide the parameters of what success is. They don't say, well, I want to lose 10 pounds in 2 months by going to the gym for X amount of time, doing X amount of workouts, eating X amount of food, right? They don't say, well, they say, I want to be rich. And they say, well, what does that mean? Like, how do you define these steps moving forward for the rest of your life? Like, you're now just doing things for doing things sake because you think it will help. And this is now adding to all these other issues, right? Not being able to manage your time, putting too much energy into something that is now draining you and taking away from other aspects of your life. And it always stems from defining very specifically so that steps can be actioned. Like what does success mean to you? Whether it be your mental health, whether it be your health, whether it be your career, whether it be your finances, whether it be your family. Know it to such a specific degree that, you know, the goals are just there and you know what you need to do and there's no guesswork involved. If everyone can get to that point, listen, the anxiety, the stress, all the things that we waste a lot of energy on will kind of dissipate.
Right. That is such a crucial point. And you keep saying some of these things, boy, Daniel, boy. You could preach, Daniel, because you're hitting some nails on the head. You see the talk where you talk about people reacting during a crisis. This is something I comment on all the time. We only know danger when it's right up under we nose. No, you have to look at it, as you said again, another crucial point, long term. You know, if you take a drug for a continuous period, over time, it will have an effect on you. But you know, in the days while you're taking it, you're not seeing it. How do you plan? How do you think about what your next step is? Do you think about your next step? And it's such a major factor in going about life. You know, life in itself is something that you plan. You know, a lot of people, when they plan to have children, if they plan to have children, because a lot of people don't plan, but even when they do, even by surprise, you know, they start to think about, okay, college and, you know, all these different things that are long-term, things that have a lot of importance, that not just immediate, not just Pampers and milk, right? So when we're looking at thinking about your lifestyle, we're not just thinking about, oh, good, what will I eat for breakfast this morning, boy? No.
Yes, Jamal. Definitely. I think a lot of persons, as you know, we all kind of like tie into each other. A lot of persons really do not think long term, and they think short term because, as you said, you know, it's a short fix. A lot, especially now during this climate where persons, quote unquote, you know, frustrated and all those things. It's easy to say, let me do X, Y, and Z, or let me free up, or whatever the term is, because you want to relieve stress, you want to get that temper, or you want to reward yourself temporarily for just making it through the week, or just, you know, enduring. And we start to add on all these things, you know, make it too. Thank God it's Friday. I think maybe that's where that started. It's Friday. So what are you gonna do? Because you're thanking God it's Friday, you made it, right? You didn't kill your boss, you didn't quit. Let's do this. And then we go into the extremeness. You know, as you were in terms of, like, let's say carnival, even any lime or activity, you know, family gathering or whatever it is, a lot of persons, the fact that you showed up means that you must overdo it. I think that is the kind of culture where, you know, I waited a whole year for this best Monday of the year and best Tuesday of the year, so I'm going to overdo it. And I think, you know, the music also says those kind of things, you know, overdo it, that is it. And people really do that. You know, you have your birthday. I've had persons who on their birthday and it's like, what did you do? Girl, I don't remember. How you don't remember? You was that intoxicated. So you waited a whole year to just, you know, go crazy. And likewise with other events, persons kind of short-term, whatever satisfaction they get, and not, okay, how is this going to impact my life long-term? So yes, you know, me personally, I, in terms of that holistic health, social life is important, and you know, it's all about balance. So I would definitely socialize when I could, but I would definitely not indulge in alcohol to enjoy myself, and that's just, you know, I'm like for the party without it, you know, Jamal?
Exactly. And just to let everybody know, my panelists and my viewers, Lucky is somebody who I look up to because she made a statement about enjoying her entire carnival without consuming a certain type of beverage, right? And a lot of people associate having a good time with consuming these certain types of beverages. We're talking about alcohol, to be clear, right? And so I believe, because I practice it as well, I consider myself a bit of a fun haver myself. So I would say this could be a normal thing if people actually embrace it. If people actually know, yeah, people do this. I actually know some people who put non-alcoholic beverages in bottles while they're celebrating and having the fun, just so people wouldn't know that they're not consuming alcohol, because they want to hide the fact that they don't want to consume alcohol while they're having fun. But it makes perfect sense. What you consume has massive implications on your entire body and your entire lifestyle in some cases, right, Fadwa?
That is quite correct. And when you talk consumption, we're not only talking about diet, because diet involves not just food, diet involves what you see, what you're looking at, what you listen to, who you surround yourself with, what your environment is like. So sometimes you need to go on a diet, maybe go on a social media fast, because we live in the age where we always want to be in the trending moment. So, okay, these, as you said, the person put the non-alcoholic beverage in a bottle so they could be part of the crowd. We all want to belong to something, not recognizing that these would have great impact on our mental health, because sometimes we overdo something because we are compensating for something else that's happening behind the scenes. So I might be working out like a beast to get rid of some stress, probably from the workplace, or trying to prevent me kicking down somebody in the workplace. So I come like back in my days in the dojo, I come to the dojo and I go on by Bob the mannequin, Bob the one who was supposed to beat up, and I take out my frustrations on Bob. But we have to be mindful of the type of diet, that the things that we consume, what we listen to, because young people music these days, it is very suggestive. It really eats away at your thinking, your emotional state, everything. We have to look at the people our encouragers. Who are our support group? Who are our cheerleaders? Are they cheering us on in the correct thing? Or are they encouraging us to do something else that will be detrimental to our health, our mental health, our physical health? Who are they? What about the environment where we live, where we work, where we play? Is this environment conducive to my growth and development and my overall health?
Well, I want to play devil's advocate here to what Fado is saying. Now, I think we're talking about the Caribbean culture. I think our culture is to overdo 100%, whether that be the alcohol, whether that be the liming, So moderation, I would say, is a big issue for us based on culture. Now, something I alluded to within this, I also do throw events. So pre-COVID, of course, because you can't do anything right now. So I'll be throwing huge events, right? So I also see there's a good side to this, right? Because we would be foolish to not note that Trinidad is a very heavy link country, as in it's always about who you know, right? And the only way you're gonna meet people is through liming. Let's be real, I can count the number of countless people I've met through networking events themselves, parties, just going to a friend's lime and meeting somebody who end up becoming a business partner, right? And this comes from the environment that we create. Now, it's less about, the culture that's out there and what's being set up for us. It's more about us having the internal understanding of what are my boundaries for myself and how will I stick to these strict boundaries. So for example, I had a client, we were talking about his finances, and we got to this point where he had a budget, and he had a real specific liming budget because the man loved to lime. Nothing wrong with that, you like to lime, it's cool. But the problem is that when he lime, he's gonna spend out all his money just gone. So we set up this system where he would keep a certain amount of liming money hidden in a compartment in his car. So when it's lime time, he could only pull from there. Once that money is done, the liming done. He can't go to anything else, right? And that's a kind of interesting way that he found to now not overdo. But we are not very intentional when we should be, because the name of the game is intentionality and proactivity. Because in order to not overdo, as Fado was saying, you have to be very intentional. You have to go into these situations knowing that I want to enjoy myself, but I don't want to overdo it with the calories. So maybe I will have 2 drinks,
Right.
have a good time. That's it for me there. Now, just having that one intentional thought or goal or target can change everything. That could be the difference between you, having a very small cheat to your week and just overdoing it, getting too drunk, having a horrible next day, vomiting on the place, as is sometimes the problem. So for me, there are pros and there are cons, but it's all about like what you decide. You set the stage for what happens. So you decide beforehand, like, what do I want to make of this situation? And then you allow it to kind of steer from there. But if you just go in blind and you allow anything to happen, well, then, you're going to have issues there.
Yeah.
And you did use a very big B word, which is boundaries. And, some of us we fail to set these things. So, and what we fail to have to is accountability. We need to have that person to hold us accountable. Like you said, the guy with the money in the compartment, he is able to now be accountable to you. So did you use the money from the compartment only, or did you dip into some other funds? Once you have somebody there who will hold you accountable at every point in time. Like I was telling a couple of friends of mine, okay, we're going to the store and I'm going to give somebody my purse. You all are in charge of my money. Hold my purse in case I get too excited in this store and spend my whole salary here and all these nice healthy things. Hold my purse, please. So we need to have boundaries, and we need to have somebody to hold us accountable to these set boundaries that we set.
I want to add to this in terms of, boundaries. And I think sometimes we take for granted where persons are in their journey. And there are some persons who may not even realize that they need boundaries, or may not realize that they are in excess of certain things. That sense of self-awareness is really low. That, emotional intelligence is low. They're not even aware. And I think for me, I would have had, a lot of clients who are not aware. They would come and say, I eat very healthy, or I exercise, I'm very active. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's see how your day goes. Let's see how your week goes. And then you're listening and you're like, okay, all right, this is it. This is what, go on Google. That doesn't sound healthy to me. Even not even by my standard, but maybe by Google standard, because apparently Google is the standard, and it didn't even pass, So they're not aware of certain things. Persons would Lyme every day and function on 2 hours sleep for months and not be aware of, that's not normal. Maybe that's not balanced. Maybe that's not healthy. Maybe I'm, really running my body down to dregs. So I think a lot of persons are really not aware that that they have something to check themselves. And because of that lack of self-awareness, they don't even see the need to have boundaries. It goes back to what Padua would have said in terms of your environment. Because if everybody in your environment is doing that, then why would I wake up one morning and think something should change? If everybody is doing that same thing, everybody in my family is overweight, then why would I wake up and think, because the WHO says obesity is over 30 and the BMI, okay, but my whole family is like this. So who is who? Who is this World Health Organization to say that? I don't feel any different. We all in, this exercise, or my family, we drinking alcohol, have about few so drunk, and that one is an alcoholic, and that's culture, and likewise it goes for a lot of things. Maybe spending, making sure you look a particular way, whether or not you live in you don't have a washing machine, you don't have a stove, you don't have whatever it is, but when you look a particular way. And if everybody is doing that in the environment, then why would I think I need to check myself? So I think sometimes self-awareness is where we need to get persons at. And I think forums like this is where, that aha moment could happen, or we usually plant a seed. And, I have a experience what part of a few years ago, not now, I'm in a better place now. But I used to go to Pennywise. I don't know how it used to happen. I don't know how. I just used to pick up I would say, right, $200 I'm spending, $400. But how? And as it started to just keep on going until I said, no. When I really, really started to say, no, look, you're sticking to your budget, and anyways, you're writing on what you need. And I remember a few times literally leaving my wallet, taking $100 and say you're going to put 3 items or 4 items, and it's either you pick it up or you leave it, because that's all you're going to have, 100. And I remember, I would go with $100 and literally count and come back like with cents, like $100. So imagine if I had money, what I would have been doing. Because I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But it was me in that moment checking myself, having a boundary, and understanding that this is not the way I should be, or this is not how I want to be, because it was something long term. Because any moment I'll be able to justify, oh, you could spend extra 100. Then I'm going to make or break you. That's all right. You work for that deal, you work hard, don't worry, you endure. And all these different things where I was, buying my own excuses to do something, but in long term, what habits am I developing? If I can't budget $500, how am I going to budget 50,000? How am I going to budget $1 million when I'm making $1 million? How am I going to do it if I cannot budget small amounts? So yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
And it's so wonderful to hear the different areas of expertise being able to touch on it, because boundaries actually kind of span into everything we're talking about. Because you know what? A lifestyle coach, a dietitian, time management, routine management, advisor, all these things come under the umbrella of teaching people the boundaries that we want them to create. I want you to create a boundary in what time you eat. I want you to create a boundary in what time you go to sleep, or when you're consuming, as Faber was referring to. All of it really does refer to boundaries, right? So then how do we, because the idea of being a coach is to get more people to understand these things. But as Daniel had mentioned, we combating sometimes culture. The thing that you're trying to teach, as you said, Daniel, in various other countries, and you call some European countries, and I would go even further, right? We have the cultural habits, right? And then you have the things that are trying to burgeon. So now how do we, I guess Trinidad is still a growing society. People say we are young as a society, only 60 odd years of independence, right? How do we then look to people, that's the idea of this webinar even. Every person viewing here now has to understand, listen, yes, of course, we just want to eat pizza and KFC and drink punch and alcohol. A lot of people will say, yeah, that's what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I want to be free. But we have to create boundaries. So I like how Fadwa says the B word. It's really a big word in terms of referencing what decisions you make. You know why? Because like in our previous webinar, we spoke to mental health, right? And now if you have high amounts of stress, high amounts of cortisol, high amounts of insulin, combined with this poor dietary habits or poor consumption habits, what you have now is a serious problem. You don't have a little problem, you have a serious problem. And moving forward, if you want to think in the long term, you have to think, okay, I may not have a problem now, I may not have a problem tomorrow, but I am developing a habit here that could cause, oh gosh, God forbid, cancer, diabetes, autoimmune disease. These are the decisions. So it is up to us. So we have to think about the decisions we make along the lines of boundaries. Boundaries are everything.
The thing is with the boundaries, to me, it's still going back to deciding. I mean, to have boundaries, you need to know what your aim is. You have to have a target. And I think that the first step is, as simple as it says, just to set some goals, right? My thing is, and it's not, it kind of speaks to everything, especially, and Fadwa used the word accountability. That accountability thing, whether you have an external form of accountability or an internal, you still need to know what it is you're aiming for. And for me personally, when I create a goal, whether it be fitness, nutrition, financial, career, anything, I make sure that I put reminders of it everywhere. Like, we have all this technology. I put my goals on my wallpaper on my phone, the wallpaper, my laptop. It's plastered on the walls of my room. When I was working a job, it was all over my desk. And I do this in a way so that when I get the temptation now and I slip up, it's right in front of me. The reminder's right in front of me. Let's say I don't want to get up and I don't want to do any work, but yet the first thing I see when I wake up is my wall with all my goals and all my targets. It's going to be so much harder for me to say, well, today I'm not going to do anything. Today I'm just going to lay down all day and do nothing. Today I'm going to eat that burger, even though I'm only allowed one cheat meal for the every 3 days or something like that. When you're constantly seeing the reminders of what you're trying to do, it becomes so much harder to now break out of that cycle, right? Because again, I mean, a habit is hard. Sticking to your goals is hard, right? But whatever you can do to help you to stay on the path, just do it. Whether you have that vision board, whether you put those reminders everywhere, as I've suggested, whether you have an accountability group where everybody's kind of keeping up on each other's weights. Like I'm in a run group and we make it competitive. Who could run the most miles in a month? And that's how we find a fun, competitive way to stay fit, right? This does not need to be boring, right? We don't have to think of this as, oh, I have to eat right and oh, I have to. No, you can make this fun. You know yourself. I know I'm very competitive. This is why I created a run group, because even though I hate running, I love winning. I want to run those miles, enjoy the fitness, and enjoy the little peak on between us in the group, because who winning, who not losing, who run a little bit of miles, who run rest, right? Because I know what's going to work for me. You know what can work best for you, but just use it to your advantage when it comes to the health, the fitness, the mental, the career, all these different aspects that come up together to make the average that is you.
That is excellent, because then persons would get the encouragement in terms of how do I address things that I'm uncomfortable with. So the goals, one, but even if you're thinking outside, because a lot of people would still shy away despite what we say, but you see the idea of creating a group, is that just like a little bit of thinking outside the box so you could address, hey, I want to do this, even though it's difficult, because a lot of people really do say that they want to exercise, but they need a partner to walk around the savannah, or they need they need that coach to push them. That's true. But I would even ask you then, Daniel, if you want to define, let me say, success goals when you're moving forward and making the decision that you're having goals on your wall, how do you, I think a lot of people need guidance along those lines, and I know that's in your wheelhouse of expertise. How do you think persons to go about defining their goals for success?
I think it can be, the thing is, success can be in many different areas. So it helps by first picking one area of your life. So let's say we're talking health. First things first is to think about what is that perfect scenario that you are trying to attain health-wise. Like envision it to a very specific degree. I'm talking about what is your weight, what are you eating, how often are you exercising, what do you look like, how do you feel, right? Creating that, you can say, success identity for yourself, right? If you have trouble creating this, then maybe you should speak to someone like Fado, who has that kind of information on what you should be eating. If you don't know how to get your body right, talk to Lucky, because then she can help you decide on what kind of exercises you need to do to now bridge that gap. You've now gotten the knowledge so that you can now define the success identity a little bit better. Once you have that profile laid out, it's to now say, well, this is my perfect target for now, because of course it will change as things usually would change. This is my success identity. Where am I within this, right? If I stand here and there's this gap between where I am now and where I want to be, what are the goals that I now need to create specifically to get there? So you're now creating a goal for nutrition. Right. You're now creating a goal for health and fitness. You might, if you are one of those who want to sleep 4 hours, I'm so sorry. I don't know how people do that. Listen, give me my 7 to 8 every day. Now I'm not playing with that, right? Maybe you need to create a goal on sleep hygiene so that you can actually fall asleep faster, more comfortably, and wake up ready. You now set these goals and don't come with these vague goals like, well, I'm going to be fit, I'm going to sleep plenty, I'm going to eat right. Those goals, I'm so sorry, are trash. You need to come with goals that are specific so that you actually know what you need to do. If you want to eat healthier and you've spoken to Fatwa, then the goal can look something like, my meals are going to be high protein, low carbohydrates with plenty veggies every day. And if you want to go even specific and you talk about what are the calories, what are the grams in each meal when it comes to the macronutrient, I'm not talking all these things, but the proteins, the carbs, you can go very deep into this and you can make this go super specific. And I stress on the specific because at the end of the day, when you look back at your goal, you need to know, well, what are the steps that I actually need to take? If you look at your goal and say, I need to eat plenty veggies, plenty can mean something different on Monday than it can on Friday. But if you look at it and you know the numbers, you can stick to those specific numbers. And that's what you want your goals to be, super specific. And then you now have the goal and you get to decide in the very fun way, how am I going to let this remind me? How am I going to remind myself of these goals? If it's a fitness goal, maybe you want to see the picture of the body that you're aiming for. And you plaster that in places that you see all the time. Whether that be your bathroom mirror, your walls, again, phone, laptop, desk, car, right? To get those constant reminders of you want that the temptation to cheat, your goal is not as strong as your drive to want to make it, to get it done. And you create the drive and make it stronger by creating groups that can help you become accountable, having the reminder set everywhere, and creating a habit so that you do something so often, for example, waking up and exercising as soon as you wake up, you do it so often that it's now not an active activity that you're doing, but it becomes a passive habit. It's like brushing your teeth. Like I wake up, my morning routine is so set, it's like literally it's like brushing my teeth. I wake up, meditation, exercise, read, plan my day. It's like a clockwork every day. I don't even have to
we hoping that people think brushing the teeth is a normal habit.
Well, yes, we would hope so. Right. But you just want to get these things like clockwork so that it just becomes a part of you, because now something super healthy and positive can just be a part of you that is helping you move forward in your life in a positive way.
Yeah. That's an excellent point, and you really draw it in together. And I know Lucky is going to touch on this because all of that idea behind planning and balance and stuff, it really is within the wheelhouse of empowerment and fitness. So Lucky, go ahead. I know you were going to speak. I didn't want to interrupt. Go ahead. Sorry.
So yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, add on to what Daniel was saying in terms of, how persons would get motivation or, get remotivated, get back on track, or those who are now starting with something new. And, how I would generally, go through this system with my clients. I love to always ask, I know I said before, but you really ask that why, and I think that sets the tone to, everything else when you really find out their why and really go deep with that. And with their why, as you rightfully said, you set the goals with it. So, fast track, I like to ask clients, like to engage points with these three things in terms of, are they ready, willing, and able? Because I think sometimes we are, easy for me, drinking 2 liters of water, like you can do that before 6 p.m. It might be very difficult for somebody else. So, me saying that's a goal, or they're setting their goal, but are they really ready to do that? Are they willing to do that? Are they able to do that? And the time might be 5 out of 10, and I think if it's not close to 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, then you want to just back and make your goals simpler. Once again,
I don't have space to fix.
so once again,
Well, yeah, we had an audio interruption there with one of the viewers. Sorry about that. Continue.
Yeah, I think once again, we go back to that, what is trending and what is popular, and we're all, overachievers. So everybody wants to make $1 million in 1 year, and everybody wants to have all these, these great lifestyle goals, and all these only looking like Beyonce by December, and all those things. all these kind of goals. You want to do this, you want to do that, because they're saying this one is doing it, and if she could do it, I could do it too. If he could do it, I could do it too. You go on YouTube and you see, do this in 2 days, and it's like, oh, I could do this. Take 21, turn into, and they're like, yeah. And because of that kind of, what is on mainstream media, we kind of overachieve. So, right, customers, they come, I want to lose 20 pounds on my birthday. When is your birthday? The 15th of November. Oh, how are we doing this? How we, because so this the servants, and okay, so a lot of times persons do that. So I really bring them back to, I guess, reality without saying that, but by asking these questions, are you ready? Are you willing? Are you able? And the reality is most are not. And because of that same mainstream media, we think simple is bad. We think, you're going to tell me to drink 2 cups of water, start with that. Like, no, I want to drink 3 liters. I want to feel punished. I want to feel like we have a feeling of we want to, you want to go to the gym, you want to work out, and you want to feel like I can walk the next day, to feel like you did something. You want to be starving and dieting, be messaging, oh gosh, I could eat. What we want, and we don't realize there's a being simple and starting small. And I think when I start them very small, they build their confidence with that. Because if you can do, let's say, 3 days of doing this consistently, you can remember to drink 2 glasses of water, I'm just saying, then you're confident. You can do it for 3 days, you can do it for 7, you can do it for 21. And then you start to grow on that. Rather than me saying, well, it's 3 liters or nothing. And then you fall short, you feel guilty, and all these different things. So I think it's important to set, yes, to have the great long-term goals and all those wonderful stuff, but being simple. It builds your confidence and you really continue with it. You'll find clients that's adding on stuff because they feel comfortable and, and confident in things. Another thing is in terms of, I know you all touched on the accountability process, that's awesome. And in terms of the seeking professional support, a lot of persons, my friend was reminding me 2 weeks ago, if you have a mechanic problem, you won't go to your dentist. Right. So dentist is good. She's really good. He's really good. But you're not going to ask about the car. And likewise, you're not going to go to your mechanic and ask about dentist. You want to go to persons that are much more experienced in whatever area. You want relationship advice. You're not going, maybe talk to someone 16. You might talk to somebody mature, somebody who's married, etc., etc. So I think it's mindful that we realize that sometimes the person who's your accountability partner, you may have different accountability partners for different aspects of your life. And sometimes you have a best friend and you want a best friend to be accountable in fitness and nutrition and relationship and social life and everything. And they may just not be able to do it. They may be able to hold you accountable in one aspect, but not all. So we have to be able to, as Daniel said, network with other persons, find other persons in different backgrounds, seek out persons, ask questions, persons who are where you may want to be or may have the knowledge that you need. And it's a humbling experience to do that, but we definitely need to do that. Rewarding yourself, that's also a good motivation in groups like Daniel, in those support groups where you get motivated, but you also have a reward for achieving these goals, and you can do it short, very, every 21 days, hitting 21 days, have like 21-day challenges. And I send a token to persons when they complete it. And, it's just 21 days, and if you can repeat it in 21 days, you're not looking at the whole year, you're not looking at 90 days. It's just, I started 7 and then I reached 21. And that's about it. You just keep on repeating. And they're very consistent with that because it doesn't seem overwhelming. Something clients always ask, and it ties back to that feeling where they always, I don't feel like somebody beating up on you, to feel like you have pain against value. Focus on what's going right. So that is, another advice. Listen, well, I have a problem with this, and I don't eat this, and I don't eat that, and I don't do that. Okay, what do you do right? I drink water. Then let's continue. And eventually you're gonna find yourself not drinking other things that you may want to drink. What do you eat? I love fruits. Okay, good. Let's focus on you eating more fruits. And you're gonna notice you're gonna eat as much of the other things that you're trying not to eat. Or whatever it is your quote unquote good habits, focus on those things, because what you focus on goes. So yeah, that's my contribution there, Jamal.
No, that's an excellent contribution because, you know, while you're speaking, it's like my brain churning on the different things that you're describing and a lot of the different issues that people encounter. And you reminded me that as much as we talk in here, a lot of the things that we say, people do not find it simple. People do not find it easy. People find it extremely challenging for simple disciplines. So Daniel would have referred to long-term goals. We didn't even start to talk about that yet because some people short-term goals, as I think you highlighted, they want to look like we say Beyonce, so they start off hot and sweaty. And after the first day, the first 2 days, oh boy, I didn't know it was like this, you know, I didn't know it actually took all this. You know, a lot of people actually talk about the cognitive part, the actual sitting and thinking about how to go about it. That's a major challenge. So that's why they would overcompensate with the exercise, you know. And then we're looking at the climate we're in here now. We're managing pandemic conditions. A lot of people talking about the weight they put on for the lockdown while in this climate. Then how would you say you're addressing, all right, gyms closed, some people depend on gyms, even though I don't like that ideology, but some people depend on gyms, you know? So I like how you would have referred to always depending on expertise, but then some people really don't know how to go about doing it. And Father referred to this multiple times in terms of knowing how to seek expertise, and Daniel now referred to it, and now you, Lucky, now refer to it. So I would say a lot of people have difficulty, and the thing I would like you all to probably address to the audience is how to, you know, the know-how, how to start to go about in terms of, all right, I want to start to be more healthy tomorrow. Who do I go to? Do I get Fadwa's IG heading? Do I get Lucky's phone contact? Do I get Daniel's Facebook? How do I go about it? Because I would love for people to be able to have access to Daniel, access to Fadwa, and access to Lucky as much as possible. So you all tell everybody listening, in your expertise, how is the best way to go about getting somebody accountable or somebody expert in that area to help with motivation or to help with the decision making?
I mean, it's so easy.
Okay.
I think we forget that we live in the 21st century, and you could literally put anything in Google that you don't know and you just get an answer immediately. You know, I think we sleep on this. Like when I came up with the idea for my book, I didn't know how to write a book. I didn't know what authors had to do. I didn't know anything about self-publishing, but I Googled it. I'm like, how do I write a book? How do I self-publish a book? You know, and I found the names of different aspects of different, you know, experts. And then I searched again on social media to find those individuals locally, so I can get a local perspective. So it's as easy as you do not eat right. Find a nutritionist, find a dietitian, find a friend who is eating healthy, and you want to learn from what they do. These are all the experts that you should be reaching out to. You want to look good, but you have no idea what you're doing in the gym. Talk to a personal trainer. Gym with a friend who is a beast in the gym, right? If you are making these decisions in a vacuum, meaning that you are setting these goals and these intentions based on what your understanding is, then you're only going to get the results for what you think you are able to get within that vacuum. But why live in a vacuum when you have access to so much information? Reach out to somebody. And there's no excuse for this, because I mean, we're all on social media, we're all online. It's as easy as sending a DM, sending a WhatsApp, giving a little call, putting in an email. So it really just comes down to you, right? You know, because you have Fadwa here, you have Lucky here, you have me, we're all online. And it's as easy as now sending a message, asking a question, figuring out like, this is where I'm at. What does this mean for where I want to be? How can you help me? Even if it's not the right person, they can point you to the right person. Trinidad is so small. Everyone is connected. There's always something that can be done, and there's always someone you can be introduced to help you. It really just starts with you asking the right question.
I have to stick up in an ad here because we are coming off from the last webinar where we were talking about mental health. Sometimes it's not as easy for a lot of people, especially when they're struggling with emotions, trauma, and all these different mental health issues that are coming up. And we are seeing now, coming out of the lockdown, or we're still in the pandemic, it has affected a lot of people's mental health. A simple thing as getting out of your bed every morning, it is a chore. A simple thing as asking for help, it is a chore. Sometimes when we are depressed or anxiety filled, we can't think clearly to go and say, well, you know, it's as easy as that. So we have to now give concessions to those people. Sometimes they need a bit of encouragement. So that's where your support network would come in. Sometimes they just need that extra push, because yes, we are all accessible on social media. But the underlying thing, if you don't take care of what is dealing with you underneath everything, then the goals can't work, the diet won't work, the fitness won't work, because you have a block here, you have a block emotionally. And when that happens, nothing else falls into place until you clear that. So if you set, as Lucky said, you have to be ready. And if they're not ready, because I have had clients come to me, I need help desperately. And then you take them, you walk with them through it. And then you realize something emotionally hits them in their life and they are off the wagon, they fall off because they now revert to emotional eating, or the response of what happens when they're in that traumatic, stressful state, they revert. So now it's up to the professional who is dealing with them to know gently say, come, let me help you back on the horse. Let me give you a little lift and walk with them still, because it does happen. If you don't deal with what we're holding on to, the emotional trauma and drama and the mental health issues, nothing can fall into place after that. We can't even pick up the phone and say, I'm going on Instagram, I need to find this person, because we are bogged down here and we are bogged down here. So it can't work. So we have to learn to reach the people internally, because it have to start from the inside first.
That is absolutely spot on. And you know, I like to tell people that it may seem contradictory to what Daniel was saying, but it actually goes hand in hand, because there are the people who we know outside of mental health just don't have an idea of how to go about it. But there's a large group as well, or a large percentage of us in the population who dealing with so many different issues. And I really like to focus on stress, you know, because that really connected to so many different things, whether you have a disease, whether you have an injury, whether you have domestic difficulties. Stress really seems to be one of the common denominators, right? So I would combine what Daniel said and with what Fadwa said to really try to say, in order to address it, sometimes the person who needs the help needs to be able to identify that they need help. And that is such a critical point in this whole thing. So some people would be watching and they'll be like, wait now, he learned to self-publish online now, boy, I playing the fool. And they would be able to activate and enact whatever action needs to take place. And then some people like, yeah, you know, how long I wanted to do that, but I just find that so hard when I pull up Google and I ain't getting what I want. And a lot of people project depression, and I see somebody even ask a question in terms of how can depression be treated. Now we in the range of experts. You require an expert to tell you, you know what? Here what? We had to go about doing this. You know, a lot of people not aware, but in the health path, you need to understand detoxification. And I think that's a massive part of what Daniel said, and a massive part of what Lucky contributed, and a massive part of what you just said, Fadwa. Detoxification might be very complicated, depending on if it's your microbiome, if it's parasites, if it's candida, if it's infections, if it's leaky gut. There are so many different things. So now, the real question I would say is, how do you get somebody who's in a state of problematic thinking or depression, as one of the viewers asked? How do they know? Do they need, we going back to accountable partners, where somebody, one of the persons who viewing here had to say, you know, I realize this person, like, they're always sad, or they're always down, or they're always speaking negative. So now it's really up to us as a community, a national and global community, to be the brother's keeper or sister's keeper, because I like to incorporate everybody, right? Your siblings keeper, right? So help others identify these issues, help others seek expertise. And again, it goes back to, what does Daniel do? His expertise is really about helping people. A lot of the times, I wonder if Daniel could expound on people who may have come to him and they didn't realize they had a deeper internal problem. But Daniel's routines and his habit management might be so efficient and so effective, they slide out of that, you know, pattern. So Daniel, tell me, you said it was that easy just using the Google, but I'm sure you would have encountered persons who have difficulties in that path. Can you go further into that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, just because of what I do, it's the type of work where you can't force someone to be better. Like I can't, like, they have to be able to say, I need help. Right? To me, that's always the benchmark. Like, I'm not gonna go to someone and I see them struggling and say, hey, you should do X, Y, Z. No. To me, there always needs to be some kind of initiating factor, because in order to receive help, you know, you actually have to be open to it. That's a big factor for me, because if you speak of persons outside of your main circle, so for example, anyone in my main circle, I mean, they're getting that's just a natural pull. I mean, the people who are your main friends, your main family, if you see them acting out of whack, that's a whole different ballgame, because you're connected to this individual, so you want the best for them, so you'll try your best to bring them up. But for me, you know, because I mean, the majority of my clients are people who, for example, will see my content, know what I do, read the book, and then reach out with a question. And it's from that question that I then say, okay, let's kind of get an understanding of where you're at. Because again, we all live in a vacuum, so we will only understand something from our knowledge base. So I will not know the particular expertise of, let's say, what Lucky knows or what Fadwa knows for sure. I do not know to the extent that they know, right? So if I speak of these things, I'm only speaking from my understanding, which will be limited, which would then mean that my goals or what I think is wrong with me will be limited. So when I now talk to them and they get an understanding of where I'm coming from, then they can say, okay, well, I understand specifically, you know, this is what you need to do based on what you're saying. And it's natural, because everybody comes with their understanding, but I mean, they don't know fully, they just understand based on what their knowledge base is. So for me, you know, once they get that initiating act, that initiation of, you know, I need the help, for me, that's the signal to now say, well, let me understand where you're coming from, and let's see where we can go from there. Because I've had situations where, for example, you know, a parent wants a child to do a program, and they're paying for them to do it, but the child is not, well, I say child, but you know, I mean, you know, we have adult children, right? They don't think they have anything wrong with them, or they don't see the value. So they are just very resistant to the work that's being done. And no matter how good the program is, if somebody's resistant to change, it's not going to help them, right? So that's why for me,
Did we have an interruption there in his internet connection? And it's such a critical point you're making. I agree 100%, you know. If I think Lucky could also probably add to that while we wait for him to return, you know, like what's your take on the difficulties some people will have in coming to terms with what may appear to be simple in terms of going about creating a solution to building or rebuilding health goals in their life?
Okay, so in terms of a solution, I think we as let's say coaches and father and nutritionists and in whatever expertise we are in, we want to be mindful that the fact that we may have studied or built experience in an area, and persons are coming to us without that. They're without. I remember being in the hospital at the time, and my friend, she's a doctor, and she started to talk, and I was like, she's like, oh gosh, I mean X, Y, and Z, and it was really simple for her, speaking in whatever language, and I was like, but I was taken aback. So I just think sometimes we do that, and we are not mindful that persons are not expertise. With that being said, then we have to go a little further and understand that we're all on a journey. And remember where we would have started. If anybody was born big, we all started as a baby. We all had to crawl, we all had to walk, we all had to learn the alphabet, learn to talk, etc., etc. And because of that, that should be a humbling experience for us in terms of empathizing and being understanding towards others. Because by us understanding ourselves, when I understand more, I understand people more. For instance, I know how difficult it could be to change or to replace habits. I know how difficult it is. I would set a goal or to hit a target, and I'll have to, day one, I may have about 50 day ones before I could actually say, well, I made a 21-day straight, or I made 90 days, or I have a lifestyle change. And because I know how difficult it could be or how challenging, I understand now when clients come and they fall short. I understand when they had a bad weekend, they had a bad week, they had a bad day. I understand all these things with clients. And by us having that understanding, we're able to really reach more people, extending that understanding towards persons. They would know when you're being genuine, but I'm also tapping off of Daniel, where you can't force someone, you can't make them. You can bring the information, you can, bring the horse to the water, you can't force them to drink. And that's okay, because we also need to understand that we are planting seeds. So this discussion is us planting seeds. Maybe one or two persons will have an aha moment and take it up, and maybe not. Maybe 2 years from now, someone might get that aha moment from something that was said here. And that's okay, that's quite
I
okay.
hope so.
To understand that. So that is some of the people understand that we're human and it's okay. Then I think persons are much more encouraged to restart. When a client says, oh gosh, Lucky, I didn't do this and I didn't do that, and they feel like they're expecting me to maybe pull out my belt and beat them over the back and stand up in the corner and hold up your hands and you and you stay there till Monday. I think that's, they expect that. And I say, no, what? It's okay. I remember when I started, this was, difficult for me too. And you tell them a story and you basically kind of humanize with them.
Right.
Not that I'm lying, it's the truth. So you basically, tell your truth, be vulnerable, and that's where the strength. My clients is like, you know what? Lucky is human too. This happened, that happened. Now I feel a little more encouraged in restarting. Yes, this is maybe the 10th time I'm restarting, and some of my clients on here, so I don't want to call names now. But I know a lot of them, would have started so many times, and it's okay. Come on back for the 100th time. Come on back. my birthday and my Christmas, that's okay. And I think that is what we need to be open and understand that persons are at a different stage in their journey, and understand, just have understanding of that, empathize, plant seeds, and really don't take things personal.
Wow, excellent. I like it. Plant seeds and continuously don't take things personal and work with those around you. And I know we lost Daniel temporarily. And before we wrap up and go into, because we have a poll, for the viewers to really look at a short poll to answer a few questions on the webinar itself. And I would like everyone to participate. It's very straightforward and simple, easy, right? But Daniel, I know you got interrupted, and Lucky really did a good job in filling from her area of expertise. So if you remember where you were at, you could give us a nice little rounding off there before we look to wrap up.
Looked like power just went for like 1 minute. It was very, very strange. I don't know what happened there. But from what I caught
it's okay, because we're dealing with technology and we're dealing with a lot of stuff that she just said the word humanize, expecting that these are normal in situations. So you could continue, it's not a problem.
But I mean, from the tail end of what I heard Lucky talking about, she definitely, put it together there. So I don't even feel like I need to jump back into it. She did a really good job there.
Right. She really did cover it in a broad and nice aspect there and touch on all the nice little points there to really round it off. I would say that... Sorry, go ahead. Say that again.
I said I got you, Daniel. I got you.
It's really wonderful to really consider that a lot of these factors that you just mentioned are stuff that really, if a person can't generate it themselves, I'm going and try to keep the phrase siblings keeper. Whether you're an actual fitness coach, life coach, habitual routine coach, dietitian, whatever the nature of your expertise, once this information comes into your lap, is something that you could really always pass on. And it's a point that Daniel made earlier, as well as Lucky, which is early childhood, getting young children to get the idea, get some of the cultural ideas that they're learning right now aren't ideal, the carnival or the alcohol, a lot of people kind of centralize these things around their lives. It's one thing to, and I'll go back to juggling the 5 balls, Daniel. It's one thing to hyper focus on 1 or 2 areas. It's another thing to get that balance, and look at life from the aspect of, all right, I need to manage this, I need to manage that. And if I need assistance, if I know I can't get help from mommy, I'll ask daddy. If I can't get help from within the family, I'll ask close friends. And that, the network that you're talking about, Daniel, when you're partying or wherever you may go in an event, is all part of the journey in developing health and wellness. The ability to identify, the ability to be aware of your environment, as Faber would have alluded to, and all of it sums up everything nicely, right? Understanding your boundaries. So those are the key points that we really want people to go away with, knowing how to ask for help is in itself a way of helping yourself. Imagine that asking for help is a way to help yourself. So people could rest assured that feeling shy or feeling uncomfortable, because even I could say, despite everything I would have learned previously and a lot of things that I would have put into action, I continuously learning. When Daniel spoke there, I learned a lot. When Fadwa spoke there, every time Fadwa speaks, is like, wow, yeah, she really hit Daniel on the head. Lucky gives us some contribution there, it's like, she could probably write a book. Daniel, I feel you should talk to Lucky, right? Because she really has a lot of good information, and it really does help us delve deeply into the health and wellness discussion, whether you're referring to physical fitness, whether you're referring to diet and nutrition, whether you're referring to the massive area of mental health, because a lot of people really struggle with that, and that's something I always like to give a certain amount of attention. You know, we understand some people, I don't know, people might be listening now and they're very challenged. You know what? Get Fadwa's IG handle or Facebook handle, or same with Lucky or same with Daniel. Get that information from these experts. Get that encouragement from these experts, and you will be able to make progress, right? So having said that, I'll encourage Daniel, any closing remarks, followed by Lucky, and then Fadwa will close it off. Please continue.
I would say just be specific about what it is that you want from life, whether in health, whether in physicality, like just in general, just be very, very specific about what you want, and get the knowledge so that you can make the best decision for you, right? If that means getting a coach, get the coach. If that means reading a few books, read the book, right? Nothing is going to change if you're not able to initiate the activity, right? And if it means that you have to ask for help, whether that be someone close to you or again the coach, do it, right? Because at the end of the day, it's only gonna be better for you, right? And of course, I think you said to plug yourself, but I mean, if you would like to ask any questions to me, you can find me on social media. It's under Rebit Limited, or you can just search Daniel Francis. Either one is fine.
Beautiful, beautiful. Lucky.
So, you know, what I want persons to take away, or, you know, my closing remarks would definitely be to find out, or, you know, as Daniel would have said, Google search on deep health and holistic health, and really get those aspects of what would make you an individual healthy. And, you know, when you do research on those, fitness, yes, eating and exercise is extremely important, but it's just piece of the pie. And there's so much more in terms of your emotional health, your spiritual health, you know, your mental health, social, all these different things that you want to make sure really budget. So I want to encourage persons to go deep in that self-awareness. And before you start to say, okay, well, I'm going to run in the morning, or I'm going to start gym, or I'm going to do this, really don't just focus on one aspect of that pie. Get what that whole pie is, and then go into your goal settings and self-awareness and journey of self, and reflecting on what exactly do I need to be a healthier person. Because I know Fadwa was stressing on it. It really starts with mindset. It really, really, really starts with mindset. You know, I think Henry Ford said, if you believe you can, you're right. And if you believe you can't, you're also right. And, you know, Jim Rohn would have also said that we only have one body to live in. So we have to take care of ourselves. As of 2021, we can't buy a body. We can't buy, you know, say, you know what, I follow put this body, Lama. I want to be a text or episode, you know, pay more money and buy it. You know, because we, as much as we really can't buy health sometime, but we just can't. So it's important that once we have that very harsh reality, then we really focus on what will make us healthy. And from that starting point, we can break down what are our goals. So I just want to encourage person that holistic, that deep health, go into that, go into, be true to yourself, be honest to yourself. Sometimes you would not like it, but that's okay. That's the beginning of everything, of getting that reality. And you can definitely reach me on Facebook as Lucky Pinder. You can also reach me on Facebook in terms of fitness, we're Fit Community Woman. In terms of nutrition, Impact Nutrition, IG handle the same. My IG handle for my personal is Lucky Deepender, and Impact Nutrition, and then also we're Fit Community Woman. So yeah.
Wow. Superb. And let us close it off. Fadwa.
Yes, as we close off the marathon webinar series, I just want to tie in everything together. Sure. We started off talking about fitness, then we went into nutrition, then we went into mental health, and this webinar, we tried to tie in everything in terms of personal development and accountability. And what I have to say is that all dimensions of wellness are important. Lucky talks about the pie and making sure that everything is aligned within the pie. You can't leave out part and then, you know, one aspect of your life is in a disarray. Everything has to come together. You really do have to go deep, as Lucky said, because you have to get to the root cause of anything. You could start any program, you could bounce up a wall and not understand exactly why you reach this point, because everything has its origins in the root cause. So to solve any problem, to reach any goal, you have to know what your obstacles are and you have to dig deep. But you also have to tie everything in together, and always remember that your job will fall apart, your relationships will fall apart if you don't have holism, if you don't take care of the vessel that you're in. You can't reach your goals if you're not your whole self. If you're not healthy, happy, you can't reach your goals. You can't be a good employee. You can't be a good student. You can't be a good spouse, a good partner, a good friend, a good nobody, if you do not have your whole self. So my advice is for those who are listening today, you have to dig deep, find out what you want, and focus on the holistic self, not just the physical self, not just the financial self, everything. Your holistic self is what will bring you success.
Wonderfully said. And you know, as we close, it really does remind me that even though we try to, you know, delicately traverse along these conversational paths, you know, we didn't really delve into the spiritual aspect because of so many diversities and so many delicate areas. But I really think that you just kind of summed it up there, because the spiritual aspect really would be incorporating everything we just spoke about, along with the idea of knowing your internal self, that breath, that knowing how to pray, knowing how to seek your creator, your belief system, you know. And I would urge everyone listening, whether it be the administrative side of Caribbean Insight, who brought us a wonderful 4-part series webinar, and we hope to have more in the future, the panel, the viewers. We really want to look at all the aspects and bring them together. We really want to get help from the necessary areas, whether it be on a spiritual plane or a physical plane. Speak to experts, because your God, your deity is an expert. The universe is an expert, right? So we could look at these areas to move forward in our lives. Pay attention to those around us. It may not be us specifically, you know, it may be a brother, it may be a cousin, it may be a sister, it may be a friend. In this pandemic climate, it's really important for us to look after each other. It's really an opportunity for us to come together, because health and wellness is also shared in the happiness and the interactions, the relationships that we share with each other, you know. And I'm really privileged and really proud to have the kind of discussions that I had with Fadwa Abdul Ghaffur, Lucky Pinder, Daniel Francis. I really wish that the viewing public takes it with the urgency and seriousness and importance that we want to generate, and, you know, spread the love to everybody. Spread the health, spread the wealth, spread wellness. I'd like to thank the panelists profusely. Wonderful contributions. I wish we could talk for 3 more hours. I always say this, but it's really true, because it's such a wonderful conversation. You know, it's such wonderful topics, and we really didn't delve into everything we wanted to. Everything is so interesting. Everything is so critical. We try to, you know, juggle those 5 balls, right, Dania? So thank you very much, guys. Thank you to every single person watching, viewing, asking questions. Being interested in health and wellness is something that I guess a lot of people struggle to invest in. So thank you very much. Thank you, Caribbean Insight. I would welcome a conversation with you all at any point in time again. I really look forward to that. And having said that, with wishes to see everyone in the future in good health and in good wellness, bid everyone goodbye for now. See you all soon, hopefully. Have a great one.